Tiny Nezuko is gonna turn him on fire. Oh, I feel really fine. Yeah, it's like super good healing poo. It's like absurdly good healing. I'm just fine now. It's like in a second too. It's like, yeah, I'm back. I can take care of everything. I have to say, right, not a super big fan of this change here in Nezuko. Because, I mean, we know how it is, right? You're watching a shonen anime, they have plot armor, obviously Tanjiro's gonna die here, it would be kind of weird, he might die eventually in the final battle, whatever, as the main character, right? In Asuka's that could have died, right? But not like Tanjiro. Usopp could have died, but I felt that if he died, we used Lost Rengoku, it would be kind of, I think, formulating if all the Hashirama's gonna die, right? But anyway, the solution is to give Nezuko this amazing healing powers, right? So she could heal herself, so it does fit into her powers though, but just having her being like, whoop, and then it's like, oh, burning, and then immediately Usopp is like, oh, I'm fine, it's gone, right? So I really think it's going back to, as I mentioned earlier, especially Dragon Ball. So Dragon Ball first had the sensu bean Dragon Ball, you hit the one right, you get heat immediately, and then introducing the Namek-yan, of course, or spoiling this Dragon Ball up. It's like 30 years ago in Dragon Ball? It's like spoiling FF7 or something, you know. It's like, anyway, in Dragon Ball then, right, you have this Namek-yan right then there, where he can heal everyone just touching them once, right? He has super healing powers, right? He can't fight, but he got to like mad, he becomes God and so on, you know. He becomes a new god right after, of course, Piccolo and Kami, of course, means god, and they fuse so right. Obviously, I know my Dragon Ball have a lot of volumes, of course, and so on, rather than many times, right? But yeah, I think this kind of comes into the same issue where, to like, keep, in Dragon Ball I think it's worse, because they have like, oh, we're gonna have, 10 people fighting in X tournament, or we're gonna do this thing and this thing. And then we have these guys like healing them next to the fight, It's like, heal, yeah, go back in, guys. Heal, go back in, yeah. That is even worse. And especially because especially the Giants, right, they get stronger if they're almost dying, right? So they're like, hurt myself, heal me, bam, win again. Yeah, it feels like an enormous power creep, right? Both in how fast they can level up in that sense, and also how they can heal, right? And certainly Nezuko didn't get on that level. Because Nezuko couldn't heal his arm. I mean, she healed his blood, but she couldn't like heal his actual lost hand, right? She couldn't like repair his finger or his hand. So she doesn't get the like godlike healing powers. But it still feels like, Nezuko was already kind of a plot armor shield, right? Or was carrying around his imouto ready to fight for him, right? But now Nezuko has this like amazing healing powers too. So it's like carrying around a plot armor, right? It's a little bit, I feel, honestly, too much that. Because now I feel like if Tanjiro is about to die, right, Nezuko, not only can she jump out of the back, right, she can also just like poop, come in there and heal them, right? They can always summon his little sister, right, to fix the shit. So I don't know how I feel about that, because having her as an extra pair of muscles, I think was fine, right? Part of the party, the fourth secret man of the party, right? Now she's like the strongest fighter basically, and amazing healing too, and also herself. She also can heal herself, right? How do you kill her? Because she has like amazing healing powers internally, reg powers, and also healing the others. So it's like, yeah, she has like the best defense powers and the best, team powers. It feels like an incredibly good teammate to have. What's about, well, Ume, not Daki then, Ume, right? Which means fate or destiny. And of course in the end of the episode, he's like, fate has changed. Now we can finally beat the demons, right? So obviously Ume has been, turned, so her name there. But Gyutaro was just named Gyutaro, right? The ugly one. And yeah, he was like being bullied by everyone, right? For Roxy team and so on. Of course, their mom is some kind of OIRAN or, some prostitute, right? Some brothel woman, of course she is. And his sister, got stabbed a customer, right? Because, of course, she had to like sleep around probably. Or it wasn't clear if she actually had done with other guys before, I guess. Maybe he was the first customer she had to actually do it with. It was like half-ass implied that he was the first one that wanted to go all the way with her, but certainly Gyutaro was like, oh, she had customers, she got gifts and so on, right? So because she was probably like some kind of what's the name for it? But like an escort, I mean, you don't do it, but I can't remember his name is called now. Oh god, my mind is blanking. But anyway, the girls to work on this hostel clubs right in Japan, right? She at least was doing that before, right? As a 13-year-old, 12 or something, right? Something like that, right? And Gyutaro was the debt collector. So what he doing, he goes around, taking care of people that don't pay, right? They have slept with the girls that are not paying, right? Like his sister and so on. He's like, he's that kind of guy, right? Super ugly, good at fighting and so on. But yeah, like to no surprise, right? The sister was of course working as a pleasure lady before, and then she kept being a pleasure lady also as a demon. Yeah, she didn't really change her occupation. No, she was like, this is what I do and this is what I'm still doing. Yeah, she was like, that this is my job, kinda. She always went that route, right? But of course she did stab this the guy we saw later, right? So yeah, I do wonder. It wasn't really explained if she actually had sex before him or something, but I felt that he was the first guy to pay for the whole way, right? That's kind of what I interpreted that, even though it's definitely unclear. And Yutori is like, he was a regular customer, but he also could have meant that he was a customer, among the girls, right, at that brothel or something when she was working. So it's a little, yeah, I felt it was very unclear if he was like doing her every week or every day, or he was doing the other girls or whatever. Doesn't really matter, but I'm just imagining, right, and I'll put us here, and I said it jokingly in Twitter, earlier about Twitter, but I really do imagining that, remember how people were angry at Nezuko for getting tits right, and so on. Just imagining now, because it's very clear now here that Daki, when she died, right, was only like 13 or 12 or something like 13, I think, yeah, when she died. She's like, Nisha, and so on, yeah. So her real mentality is like a 13-year-old, arguably, right? Even though she's like a 500-plus-year-old woman, right? But whatever. But I just can imagine people's rage on Twitter and so on. I just imagine, right? People are gonna do these tweets, and some people write articles, and there's gonna be some people, YouTubers, gonna be like, oh my god, Daki, this huge, massive, milf woman with a big ass and big titties and like a huge body, right? It's actually only 13, given her death time or something. So if you like her, or if you look at hentai with, Daki with huge op eyes, whatever, right? Then you're actually looking at 13-year-old. That's gonna be shit. I promise you guys. People are gonna write shit and they're gonna argue that if you like Daki with her ridiculous, body shape and, massive tatas, you're actually liking young girls, even though she's like ridiculously sizable and so on, right? And looks like she's like at least 30 or something, but but no, because she died and turned into like a vampire zombie girl demon at 13, right? That's her actual age. I'm telling you, people are gonna do. I'm as Anime only. First I thought, is it Musan? But I guess it's like another upper rank 6, right? Because he wouldn't have that for himself, right? I guess. So I would assume this is gonna be the next bad guy, probably, right? Season 3 announced earlier today, and I would guess that this guy is gonna come in here and be like, he's the next arc bad guy, or maybe next arc. But certainly it's like a build up for him as the even stronger, I guess, upper rank 6, right? That gave them their powers, and then they also became upper rank 6. He's an even older demon, right? Maybe the strongest. We're getting like not her actual backstory, but like Gyutoro's image of her life if she wasn't, grew up at the brothel, right? The mom was clearly, working there, so yeah. If she weren't some growing up in the entertainment industry, but if she was just like a normal woman, right, growing up in a normal household or whatever, so it was pretty sad. And it was kind of, yeah, it has like a wholesome moment, honestly. In this weirdness, the episode had this definitely ending in this weird wholesomeness. And he's like, you go into the light, I go into the dark, and we can like separate here. He's like, no, Anisha, I love you. I want to also go to hell with you. And it's like this weirdest wholesome things ever, right? Isn't this super weirdly wholesome? I want to be with you, Anisha. We promise to stay together and be teammates and so on, right? But at the same time, he's like, go into the light, right? They have like dark and light patterns. Go into the light, sister. Don't be stupid. That's heaven. He's like, no! And jumps on his back and he carries her to hell. So, I mean, it's wholesome, but it's also like really weird because he's like, if you go to hell, I also want to go to hell. And he's like, yeah, I guess, but not that I felt it would sense if she has the option to go to heaven, right? After having murdered like a thousand of people. But it still feels like that it was kind of like the crossroads. You have the option to go to heaven. And she was like, no! I'd rather go to hell with you so we can be tortured in hell together by Satan than going to heaven. I mean, it was very wholesome, right? But at the same time, it was like, wait a minute. What? You can go to heaven? But I don't know. I guess it was just their mind or something. Yeah. Ends with then a very wholesome episode, man. It kind of ends with them just like hugging, yeah. And I like how Nezuko's in the middle, tiny Nezuko, and she's like, yeah, man, We're used to having this nice, cute hug moment. But for that matter, right, every goddamn Nezuko... This baby is really crack up every time, man. But again, I just really, really love it how Nezuko is in her tiniest form, throwing up big bro Tanjiro, and it's like, let's go! Let's go and heal your friends, big bro! And he's so much bigger than her, his legs are touching the ground basically, come on, she's barely lifting him over the ground. She's so tiny, and he's like, yeah, okay. But of course, she's like, super physically strong, right? And oh man, it was adorable. All of these scenes, my god, it was super cute. Oh, that was funny. Mini Nezuko was the best, guys. Anyway, Scraps was alright. I was gonna see here before I say, course with Titan, right? Was delayed earlier. But the Olympics, let me change channel here. I'm gonna put channel on here, and I can tell you what's happening there, right? Let me, yeah. Okay. So it's still the Olympics, okay? It's still like the, as I said earlier, like I'm an anime nerd, right? I do like martial art. I'm not playing in sports, but I have no idea about the Winter Olympics, okay? So they're doing some kind of ice skating, okay? Like, I don't even know what sport it is, but on the TV, it's like ice skating, okay? It's like, it's the Japanese are doing ice skating, right? I guess other countries, but that's the reason why they are showing it. I think usually you see the same thing with like tennis and so on. They don't show the tennis matches unless, a Japanese person is in, right? Yeah, then it's like, okay, tennis, yeah, let's delay anime, we have to show this thing, right? So what they're doing right now is that the Titan is delayed. I heard earlier today it's 2 hours delayed, but I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, it's delayed right now because it's like I think it's speed ice skating. Okay, I don't know if that's the name of it, and of course everything is Japanese, all the text and so on. So it's a little hard for me to translate it, half-ass. But yeah, it's like I think it's speed ice skating, right? Because the other one is like super longer and slower, right? The marathon ice skating is like 10,000 meters or whatever it's called. So that's the that is delayed, but I do the reaction right and review and so on as soon as it's out, which might be in half an hour from now then, but it's started on Japanese TV, and I don't know if it's gonna be delayed for the sub version so on, right? People are gonna ask that if it's gonna be delayed for Crash or whatever, maybe, because there's already like a time skip between those two, right? They have like a delayed release anyway, but potentially it's gonna be delayed by a few hours on everything, right? For the rumbling there, certainly. And again, I genuinely know nothing about ice speed skating, right? But I'm just thinking that if it's like soccer or something, right, so you can have like a sudden death, right, or something. So maybe it's gonna be delayed longer. But honestly, I don't know. It's probably not, because ice skating is probably like you do your laps, and you get a timer, right? And you do your laps, you get a timer. I don't think it can be like a sudden death, right, in speed ice skating, unless you have the exact same time. So I'm just guessing here. Like, I never watched Olympics, right? I have zero interest. I'm an anime nerd, gaming and anime, right? I play video games. I play video games, and I yeah, so on. And even though I'm Swedish, I have zero interest in the winter stuff. Even though Sweden is winning a lot of stuff, I have zero interest, right, in like the ice skating or I don't know, skiing or something. Even though, of course, as a kid, I done ice skating and skiing and so on, but I never watched Olympics. I have no idea. Bobsleds? I don't know, man.